Welcome everyone to the MudRoom, our weekly free and live uncommon sense parenting class. How is everyone today? We have had a bit of a crazy day around here. We survived though. I'm looking just like a wee bit frizzy. Just a little bit. Because I had to take my boys to swimming lessons and oh my god, it's like pouring rain here. It's just teeming. So I'm hoping that it resolves soon because I volunteered to go with my oldest class to the pumpkin patch tomorrow. And if it's like today, it's going to be absolutely miserable. So let's just hope it stops raining because I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not really a pumpkin patch girl to begin with, but throw in tons of rain and this could be interesting. Okay, so for those of you who are watching for the first time, welcome. My name is Allana Robinson and I'm a parenting effectiveness coach for parents of toddlers, preschoolers, and kindergartners. I help parents understand why their children are misbehaving and how to fix it without yelling, shaming, or using timeouts. I host the MudRoom, which is this show, every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. And this show is also blogged and podcasted after the fact because we like options. Everybody learns differently. I also host my free peer support Facebook group, The Parenting Posse. At this point in time, we've just crossed over 6,000 members. So we've got a good, solid community of parents supporting each other and applying uncommon sense strategies. And I also host my program, Parentability, which goes the extra mile and helps parents find extra support and help their children with their self-regulation and executive functioning skills. And it gives you personalized support and all the resources that your little heart could desire. Hey, Nicola! Thank you for being here with me. Okay, so back to school is barely freaking over. And already I'm getting inundated with parents who are anxious about how to get their toddler or preschooler ready for school next fall. I am seriously impressed by the get up and go and proactiveness, and yet at the same time I've had pretty much the exact same conversation multiple times in the last month, and most people seem really shocked by what I have to say about it. So because like most mothers, I detest repeating myself over and over and over again, I figured it's just time to have a MudRoom on it so I can direct everybody back here and stop repeating myself. So, first of all, anyone who's watching, are you anxious about this? Is this something that worries you? If you have a toddler or a preschooler or even a kindergartner that might be going into grade 1 next year, are you worried about this? Let me know in the comments. So let's just acknowledge like the elephant in the room right off the bat. Your child does not need to know their letters, numbers, colors, be able to read or do basic arithmetic before starting either preschool or kindergarten. Like step away from the flashcards, the workbooks, the task sheets, all that crap. If children gravitate towards those things on their own and they pick them up by interacting with them on a daily basis, and most sighted children will, then that's great. But there is absolutely zero need to suddenly light a flashcard-fueled fire under your ass when you realize that your 3-year-old can't count to 10 by rote. Those are skills that are taught in kindergarten. Kindergarten is the definition of preparation for grade 1. That's what it is for. They do not need to know those things going into those programs. Remember, earlier isn't better. And I have a whole episode on that tucked away somewhere. It's on the blog. It's on the podcast. It's in the video archives here. Go watch that later. So if they don't need to know how to read, write, identify their letters, numbers, colors, and all that, then what skills does your child need to start either preschool or kindergarten? Both of these programs ought to be play-based. but they do require a certain amount of self-sufficiency. Preschool is typically a lower ratio, but it's still a higher ratio than daycare. Usually it's like preschool is usually about a 1-to-4 or 5 ratio. Kindergarten, it gets much larger, typically 1 to about 15. So that is a lot less personal support, which means that the skills that children really need to go into school are largely social, self-care, self-regulation, and executive. So let's look at each one of those. Nicholas says, yes, even though she teaches grade 1 at the same school, she's so nervous for her kid to go to K by herself. I know, it's nerve-wracking. As I said, the ratio is so much larger in kindergarten. So they really do have to know how to do things by themselves. So let's start with social skills. Social skills are things like understanding turn taking, understanding how to stand in line and how to wait your turn, knowing to put your hand up when you need to ask a question, knowing what a question is. There was a meme that was going around not long ago. My sister-in-law is a kindergarten teacher, and she shared it, and I thought it was really funny, where there's like a kindergarten teacher, and she says, okay, does anybody have any questions? And everybody puts their hand up, and then she's like, then she defines what a question is, and all the hands go down. Knowing what a question is and isn't is a very important thing. Understanding how to say thank you and no thank you, how to set boundaries and respect boundaries, knowing how to introduce yourself to an established game. This is a big one. When I was working in preschools, this was like a huge target area for my clients because often they didn't know how to insert themselves into an established game that they wanted to join. It's not easy. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of disappointment while practicing it. Conflict resolution. These are all social skills that are essential to a smooth transition into the classroom socially, because a teacher with 15 kids to attend to does not have the freaking time to be constantly brokering social contracts. They don't have the time to be on top of your child to redirect them into the line constantly. They don't have the time to be negotiating turn taking. They're just trying to keep everybody safe, set up activities, and teach. So the more proficient that your child is at these things, the less energy the teacher needs to dedicate to smoothing the social concerns. There's still going to be social concerns, though, especially at the preschool level. But there'll be more complex ones versus, the basics of, no, really, he gets to use it until he's done with it, and then you can have a turn. This is where social programs can be really helpful before your child enters school. Playgroup was essential for both of my kids and for a lot of my past clients when I was in early intervention. In Canada, I think just about every province has a provincially funded playgroup network of some kind. In Ontario, they're called early on centers. In Alberta, they're called prnt.link centers. And they usually run at least once a week at like a set time. In the States, there's all kinds of different organizations. Churches and places of worship also usually host playgroups, sometimes affiliated with MOPS, but often just on their own. A lot of play schools host playgroups, community centers, some private companies run free or low-cost playgroups, Tinkergarten, gymnastics, Gymboree, YMCAs. Chances are that there is either a free or very cheap playgroup near you, and these are fantastic ways to start building these social skills that are hard to build in isolation at home if your child isn't attending daycare. Because, we live near a military base. The one closest to us is called Play Troop. And for a long time, I went there almost daily with my oldest, with Logan. I like playgroups because they give you a very rare opportunity to be with your child in a group of diverse children that you didn't get to handpick and give them that one-to-one instruction. If your child attends daycare, then that is the kind of stuff that they should be learning, and that should be taking place at daycare, though. Oh no, Nekla, I don't know why I'm freezing. Hopefully we're not having storm issues or internet issues because of a storm. So second are self-care skills. When I talk about self-care, I mean toileting 100% independently, okay? That's a really important one. Your child should be able to get their own pants and underwear up and down, toilet, clean themselves, get them back up, and wash their hands without the help of an adult. They should also be able to change themselves if they have an accident, because it happens. It is most likely going to happen to your child at some point, so it's best to prepare them for it. If, like most preschools and kindergartens, the staff can't touch your child to help them remove clothing, so they need to be able to do it solo. That goes for outdoor clothing too. I'm Canadian. Most of the year, children need to wear jackets, snowsuits, and put on warm hats, mitts, and boots. This is a skill that is super easy to work on at home. Build in an extra half hour whenever you can and let your child struggle to put on their own things. Teach them to start and to do up a zipper. If a teacher has 15 children to get outside for recess, they can't be starting zippers for 15 kids. Recesses are already so short that by the time they finish that, it'll be time to go back inside. Canadians and anyone who lives in the northern United States, for the love of all that is good and holy, buy one-piece snowsuits. They're fantastic. They can't lose their snow pants. The zipper's already started, and they're going to stay drier because no snow is going to go up their back or their front. Make sure that your child can get on their own indoor and outdoor shoes, snow boots, and rain boots. Teach them how to put on a toque and mitts. That's a big one too. Also, get mitts that have the zipper either up the side with the thumb or down the back of them, because little kids have a really hard time with separating their thumb out. And so the higher that they can get that zipper, the easier it is to get that thumb in. Teach them how to open and close their own backpack, their own lunch kit, and their own bento box. Again, if your child can't open their own lunch containers, they're going to waste half of their eating period waiting for a teacher to help them. And if 15 kids can't open their own lunch container, then the teacher spends the entire lunch period opening and closing Tupperware. I've talked about my love for bento boxes before. I stand by it. Just buy one. They're fantastic. These are all self-care tasks, and your child needs to be able to competently do them prior to starting preschool or kindergarten. Now we're going to get into the less visible, but very equally important skills. Self-regulation and executive skills. So self-regulation skills are the ability to recognize what you're feeling and know what to do about it. What you're feeling. To recognize what you're feeling and what to do about it. There we go. To be able to realize that, this kid that I just met is frustrating. And instead of hitting him, to go hit a pillow in the corner. Right? We're not going to deck him in the nose. To recognize that I am super excited about something and how to calm myself down enough to be able to attend to the tasks that the teacher says need to be done first. And there is a lot of that going on in kindergarten. Everything is so new. They're so excited about so many things. But they need to be able to recognize when they're super excited and know how to bring that energy level down for the time being so that they can clean up or do a craft first or whatever it is that the class is doing. To know when you feel hurt, both physically and emotionally, by someone, and to go and seek support and comfort and help. to realize when you feel sick and how to tell an adult. Self-regulation is all about staying calm, and it is really bloody hard, especially because typically kids don't have a whole lot of practice at it because mom and dad do a lot of compensating for them at home. I've talked about the gas tank analogy before, how we all have like a metaphorical tank of energy that gets depleted throughout the day every time we spend energy on something. Well, self-regulation is about recognizing when something is sucking too much energy, that we're getting depleted. We need to fill that tank back up and knowing how to do it. Hey, Heather! Yes, one-piece snowsuits are the best. We love one-piece snowsuits. Okay, so self-regulation skills feeds into executive skills. Now, we've talked a lot about executive skills before, but I'm going to reiterate that executive skills have nothing to do with business and being a CEO, okay? Executive skills mean our higher mental tools, controlling our impulses, recognizing our emotions, and you can see how that overlaps with self-regulation. Starting tasks, remembering things, planning and prioritizing, being organized, keeping track of our things and how we interact with people, and thinking flexibly. These are all mental processes that suck a lot of energy if we aren't proficient at them. They're the soft skills that make a very big difference. Executive skills, coupled with self-regulation skills, are how a child stops themselves from punching that kid in the nose or from biting someone. They're the skills that make sure your child doesn't lose 42 pairs of mittens over the course of a winter. And as astronomical as that number seems, my friend kept track last year and her kindergartner did in fact lose 42 pairs of mitts. I was blown away by that. Executive skills are how we get going and start something. So when a teacher asks us to clean up, we can get going and do it. They're also the skills that let us stop doing something, so that when a teacher asks us to clean up, we can stop building the castle. They're what allow us to do things in order. So when we have an accident at school and we take our socks off, before we try and take off our soiled underwear, that's an essential planning and prioritizing task. They're the skills that allow us to say, it makes me feel really sad when you say that I can't come to your birthday party. Because kids these days are living in a very different world, and yet it is exactly the same. They're the skills that allow us to remember that the teacher just said not to run to the front of the class when she takes the bunny rabbit out of its cage. Literally, they allow us to do everything that we consider civilized and generally good behavior. So if your child is weak in any of these areas, executive functioning skills, and generally by extension, self-regulation skills, then a lot of the intangible stuff that makes you competently move through your day is just impossible to do. And this is why we focus on it so much in parentability, because these skills infiltrate every corner of our lives. They are the skills that we literally use for the rest of our lives. Research has shown that while working on academics early can destroy a child's love of school and learning and have a detrimental effect on long-term academic success, working on executive skills has the opposite effect. It creates children who love to learn and therefore thrive in their academics when it's developmentally appropriate for them to do so. So if you're one of these parents who's been in my inbox lately asking about how to get your child ready for school next year, now is the time to join Parentability, because these skills don't get built overnight. They take time to grow. Most of my clients need at least 3 months to really see the needles to start moving, and up to a year to start to really notice developmentally appropriate mastery. So if you're going to be proactive and make sure you're putting your energy in the right place to set your child up for success, because I promise that academics aren't it. So if you want to learn more about these skills, there is a link to my Misbehavior Proof free class in the description, as well as a link for Parentability. So I'd love to hear in the comments how you feel about this. Do you have a better idea of where your child needs some support over the next year to get ready for their new adventure? My youngest Owen will be starting kindergarten next year, junior kindergarten. So I am right there with you. I am working on these skills with him. It's been very interesting working on them with him versus his big brother, because his big brother is so proficient at them that he generally compensates for him. So I really have to kind of wait until my oldest is at school so that he's not doing all of the work for him. He's not jumping in and saving him all the time. He did start preschool this year, though, and his teacher has been quite complimentary. So we're making progress. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Okay. That's it for this evening. I will see you all next week for another Uncommon Sense parenting class. Bye.